Good evening, everyone.
Very good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
So, yesterday we had started with the concept of subnetting, and I hope most of you could get through it well. Why we need subnetting and how to calculate the network address, the broadcast address, and to do it, right? So, let us do some more examples today, and then we'll look into the IPv4 header format and then compare TCP and UDP. Okay, so I have now another question coming up here. Let us see how many of us can solve this thing. So I have given an IP address. Okay, now this is a subnetting with class B. What it means that this address is a class B address. Okay, because we identify the class with the help of the first octet. So 135 means it is falling inside the range of 128 to 191. So it becomes a class B address. It is given the prefix mask as /29. I am asked what is the network address for this IP, what is the broadcast address, and what are the range of valid IP addresses. Okay, so how do we understand the network address? Romel is answering, right. So we first understand, if yesterday, if you know, we had understood one important thing, that my network address is a multiple of the number of hosts. So how many host bits we have in this picture? How many host bits we have? If I have 29 bits /29 means the network bits are 29, right? So how many bits are left now on the host side? We have 3 bits on the host side. That total makes up 32 bits. So with 3 hosts or 3 bits, we have how many hosts with 3 bits we can have? 2 raised to 3. That means 8 hosts we can have. So my network address, okay, I have to see in my 4th octet because this is 29, which is greater than 24. So I have to see the network address in my 4th octet should be multiple of 8. So yes, guys, can you just think about it, multiple of 8? So what it should be? 8 into how many? Like 8 into what it will be? Like 138 is now there. So we have to be close enough. 8 into 10 will give you 80. 11 will give you 88. So likewise, if I go forward to 8 into 16, I see that 8 into 16 will turn out to be how much? It will turn out to be 128. So my number is still ahead than that. So that means I can go 8 into 17 and that will turn out to be 136. Okay, so 136. So I see that this IP 138 is close enough to 136. So this 136, 136.135.10.136/29 should be my network address. Then I have to add +7 because I know there are 8 hosts. So I'll add +7 because 136 is inclusive. So I'll have 135.15.10. If I add 7, it becomes how much? It becomes 143/29. So this becomes my broadcast address now. So the remaining 137.137 to 132, sorry, 142, this becomes my valid host addresses. Okay, just let me know if you people have understood this thing thoroughly. Yes? All good with this?
How did you get a 136?
How did I get 136? I just, yesterday when I explained you that a network address is a multiple of the host, number of hosts, I first understood that there are 8 hosts in this particular network. Okay, the network has 8 hosts, or the subnet has 8 hosts. So I'm just checking that, and since it is given /29, that means it is greater than 24, means I have to only concentrate on the 4th octet, the value which is 138 given to me. Okay, so on the 4th octet, I just see that whether this is a multiple, I have to just check what is the nearest multiple of 8 in the last octet. So the nearest multiple comes out to be 136. Okay, I just see that 8 into 17 is 136. So that is the nearest multiple. And then after that, if I just do 8 into 18, that will become 144. Okay, so my given IP dot 138 must belong to this subnet whose network address is a multiple of 8 into 17, which is 136. So the range network address will start from 136, and since there were 8 hosts, I have to just add 7 because 136 is inclusive of that, or simply I can go in that manner also, since the next subnet starts at 144. So the last broadcast should be, second last broadcast should be 143. So this becomes my host address, and the network address becomes .136, and the broadcast address becomes .143.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. How to find how many networks are there in this? Okay. Now, in this case, if I have to see in that way that how many networks we have in this IP. So for that, what we have to do is we have to consider this as, yes, somebody is saying 32 network. How 32 network? How can we say that it is 32 network? Two raised to 5. So you got 5 bits, right? How did you get the 5 bits? Redden? You're saying 32 networks because you're saying 2 raised to 5. So how did you get the 5 bits? Looking at the last octet. Very good. So looking at the last octet, you saw that it is 5. From this octet, there are 5 bits on the network side and 3 bits on the host side. Okay. That way we can say that there are 32 networks, but let me be more clear here. We cannot just say the number of networks because we don't know what was the actual IP address. If I just go with the notion that yes, if we just go with the notion that this is a class B address, so class B address means what is the default prefix mask for class B? We have default prefix mask for class B as 16. Okay, we have /16 as a default mask. Now, how many bits more we have added here in the given question? /29 is given to me, so I have added 13 into it. So that means, and that has become 29. So that means my number of networks should be 2 raised to 13. And each network will have how many hosts? Will have 8 hosts. Getting it? Okay, consider the standard default mask, and then whatever is extra, we will just try to subtract it with the standard, and that will tell you the number of bits in the network side, and that you have to take 2 to the power to get the number of networks. Okay, fine. So now moving on, we have next one more question similarly. Now this time I have given a class A address with 60.0.0.0/8, and we are applying a subnet mask of 255.255.255.240. Now we are asked how many subnets do we have and how many hosts per subnets we have. Okay, so first tell me what is the prefix mask for 255.255.255.240? what would be the prefix marks? Now this is all 24. I can say these are all ones. So very obvious that this is 24 plus how many bits we have taken from the, we have taken how many bits from the fourth octet? We have taken 4 bits from the fourth octet, because 240 means 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16. If we go and add this, this will turn out to be 240. So that means I have taken 4 bits from the fourth octet. So 24 plus 4 becomes slash 28. Okay. So this is now how many subnets we have here. So we are given this IP slash 8, and we have understood that this is my subnet mask slash 28. So now we have to understand how many. Yes. How many bits we have on the network side now?
3.
Yes, I'm not, or I guess you're not audible. Yes. Slash 8 and slash 28. So we have to add plus 20 here to make it as slash 28. So that means 20 bits we are adding on the network side. So we'll have it as 2 raised to 20 number of subnets. And then how many hosts per subnets we'll have? The remaining 32 minus 28 I'll do, which will be 4. That means 4 bits on the host side. That means 2 raised to 4, that is 16 hosts per subnet. Okay, very good. So I hope this thing is clear now, how to calculate the number of subnets, how to calculate the network address and the broadcast address, right? Do you want more example on this, or should we go ahead with the new topic?
One more example, ma'am.
All right, okay. Let's do it. See, I have a lot of problems for practice. I'll pass it to Sagar, and then you can, practice those problems. I have a lot of problems related to subnetting. So coming up again, 60.15.10.75/28. What is the network address, broadcast address, and the range of valid IP addresses? Now again, it is /28. So concentrate on the last octet. How many host bits we are left with? How many host bits we are left with? We are left with host.
4.
So that means 4 means I will have how many hosts? 2 raised to 4, that is 16
16.
hosts I'll have. So my network address has to be a multiple of 16. Right? So multiple of 16. So you
Yes.
start 0 into 16, which is 0. 1 into 16, which is 16. 2 into 16, that is 32. 3 into 16, that
65.
is 58, right? Similarly, we'll go and this will be 64. Now this is 75, okay? And then we have 5 into 16, that is 80. So very obvious, we cannot take 80 because this IP is less than 80. So that means we should have it as .64 as my network address.
64.
Right. 64/28. Now how many bits I will add more to get the, you can simply get it -1 if you can do next subnet starts at, next address starts at 80. So I can simply have it as 60.15.10.79/28
79.
address, and the remaining .65 to .78 turns out to be my valid host addresses.
Usable host.
Okay. Network address, broadcast address. Great, great. Mayank, you're saying broadcast address as .64. Broadcast address cannot be .64. Okay. Yeah, it is a network address. Okay, okay, okay. Let's go ahead. One more thing we'll see here. Now this is very much similar. Let's say I give you some other examples. Now basically what I want to see here, show you is that when you are giving, appearing for the exams or you will go for interviews, Majorly, these are the kind of questions which will be placed to you, that you will be given a network requirement, that we require so many networks and so many hosts per subnets. So what should be my network address? What should be my subnet mask? Or I will be given an IP address and I will be asked to calculate the network address or the broadcast address and the range of IP addresses. So this will be the kind of category of questions which will come up when you will go for subnetting questions. Now, I guess it is pretty simple for everyone to know what is subnetting, why do we need subnetting. Okay, so I guess we'll move on with the new top. One more diagram I'll give here. Okay, I just give you the topology here, and you people are going to give the subnetting to each of this. How many networks we have first and foremost. We'll identify the number of networks first. How many networks do we have?
5.
5 networks.
Five.
Everyone, 5 networks.
Sorry,
Very
6.
Do you think it is 5 networks or 3 network or 4 network? What we are saying? Everyone is, somebody is saying 5, somebody is saying 6. How many networks we have here? Just check out, guys.
5.
5.
28 hosts plus 230. So we can go with a 2 to the power 5.
He's saying 6 networks. Are you sure we have 6 networks here? Kaustubh is saying 5. Few people are saying 6. Those who are saying 6, can you people tell me where, how it is getting 6? Like, how do we have 6 networks? Those whoever is saying 6, I want to know that how you people are getting it 6. Now, switch is not a part of different network. They are in the same network. Router, this router has 3 interface, 1, 2, and 3. So if I say this is number 1, number 2, number 3, this is number 4, and number 5. Okay. So I have 5 networks here. Now I want you to design or do subnetting from host perspective. Yesterday we have understood that we can do the networking. Okay, we can do the subnetting from network perspective as well as from host perspective. Now I want you to do variable length subnetting. That is something which we have also understood yesterday, that instead of having a fixed subnetting, now since here you can see we have a requirement of 2 hosts, so why to do fixed length subnetting? So I want you to do the subnetting for the given scenario as per the variable length subnet mask. So let's see what IP we have been given. We have been given an IP of 200.15.10.0/24. So let's start, guys. Let me see how
Slash
you are,
we will use 27 slash.
where we will use /27. Which part? We have 2 cities here, okay, 2 states here. So which part should I give /27? And what we, let's say we are, if I start, let us start from here. We start with your 200.15.10.0, okay, slash. So we'll give one entire subnet here, and then one chunk will come over here, over here, over here, and then one more over here. So you people are going to tell me how we are going to do.
/27 here.
So you have 28 hosts, we are going with /27. So up till 200.15.10.31 /27, right? Because 32 hosts we have. Correct? 28 plus 2
Yes.
makes 30, and we are close to 32 now. So that's right. Now let's go with this one. So here we'll start now. Again, this is 28 hosts. So here also
32
we can
to
27.
yeah,
So we'll have
32 to 60.
100.15.10.32/27 to 200.15.10.31. If I add, so I get 63/27. Okay, so these two have got now /27. Let's work out with this sales department at this side, New York side. So we have 14 hosts. So how much do I need?
/28.
14 plus 2 is 16. So that means only 4 bits on the host. So /28. So from where will we start? We'll start with .64, 200.15.10.64/28 to 200.15.10. How much should I add to this? 15, right? So that becomes 79/28. Okay. Moving on to this. How many bits I will require here? I have 7 hosts. Okay. So I have to add +2. If you remember, we are taking this +2. Why? Can anybody recall why am I taking this plus 2 more?
For
For
network,
one is for the
network and
network
host.
bit and another is for host bit.
Right, one is for network address and the other is for broadcast. So we need your 9, total requirement is 9. So how many bits here again you'll go with? We cannot go with 3 bits, right? Looking at 7,
4
don't
bits.
jump with 3 bits. Okay, so here will require
So
4
it's
bits.
16 bit.
So 4 means 16 host, right? So we'll require 4 means again you will go with /28. So here I can go with 200.15.10.80/16 because 79 here we have ended. 200.15.10. I just add 15 in this, so I'll have it as 95. Sorry, /16, no, /28. I wrote it wrong here. Okay. Now coming back to this to point link where I have only 2 host requirement, but I have to understand it is 2 plus 2, which is 4. Okay, so what would be the mask in this case? What would we take the mask? /30.
30.
Because 4 bits means 4 host means you require only 2 bits. So here we'll work with /30. So what we have last ended with 95. So I can take it as 200.15.10.96/30 to 200.15.10. Just add 3 into this. So you'll have it as, if I add 3, I'll get 99/30. So this is how we do the subnetting. So you see now we have used /27, we have used /28, okay? And we have used /30. So /27, /28, /30. So that makes up variable length subnetting. Okay? So I hope now you have got clear enough, lot of examples we have done since yesterday to understand subnetting, right? Okay, so should we now I'll pass on the practice problems to Sagar. He will forward you on the WhatsApp. If anyone has any doubt yet on subnetting, can ask me, so that we can see. Once we move forward, it will be difficult to go back again. So I just want, if anyone has any doubt, please ask. Anything if you feel that you have not understood well. So should we go ahead, everyone?
Yes.
All right, all right. So now let's move on. If everything is good, that's really great now. So now moving on to the new topic, what we are going to do is we are going to learn about IPv4 header. So far we understood about everything related to IP addressing, that it is of 32-bit, it lies in the network layer, and it is basically helpful for, identifying the routing, or whenever a router gets a packet, it helps to check whether which path it has to forward the packet. So with the help of IP addressing, we are able to do. And we also understood the different classes in the IP addressing. We understood the private and public networks, the need of that. And we then finally understood why we need subnetting and how do we do subnetting. So this was all related to IP. And now we are going to see something more, which is the header format. Because if you remember the OSI model or the protocol suite, whatever data we are receiving from the upper layer, okay, let's say the transport layer or something like that, we are receiving all the data from the upper layer. Each layer add its own header. Okay, since we have now talked about IP, we know that there has to be a source IP, there has to be a destination IP. But apart from these IP addresses, the network layer adds its own header, okay, that we are saying it as IPv4 header. So this includes some more detailed information about the packets, about which protocol is used in the transport layer, and more details. Okay, so let me show you that first. So here we have the IPv4 header. Okay. So the length of the header can vary from 20 bytes to 60 bytes. Okay. 20 bytes to 60 bytes. We are talking about the header. Okay. And the data can vary up to maximum. You can see here 20 bytes to 65,536. Okay. that many things we can, means that will be the total length of the packet. That will be the total length of the IP packet. Now we are interested to learn about the header, that what all information the header has. Now, since we have already understood that in order to communicate, we should know what is my own IP, what is my destination IP. So this is something which is now known to us. Now, apart from this source IP and destination IP, we see different fields over here named as version, header length, type of service, total length, identification, fragments offset, etc., etc. Okay. So what is the meaning of all these things? And this you can go and check out if you have a Wireshark which is installed. You can directly try to open that. Let me just show you that. So you can see even this thing in your Wireshark also. Okay, let me just show you that. Okay, so if I just open this Wireshark, okay, and I just try to randomly pick up any of the packet from this. Okay, you see that we have a data, we have Internet Protocol version 4. So this Internet Protocol version 4, okay, this has all the details what we are talking right now in terms of IPv4 header. What is the protocol used, the TTL, the fragment offset, the total length, the field services, the version, the source IP, the destination IP. So whatever we are talking in terms of IP header, okay, all these things we can see it in any of the network capture capture tool. The one which I'm showing currently is a Wireshark. Okay, that is a free software we can go and download directly by saying Wireshark download, and you will be just asked. You just need to follow the steps of installation, and then you will be done. No extra anything is required for the installation. So this is important, or this makes us understand how my packets are, like how what all information my packet is carrying up. Okay, and we can see all the layers, the OSI layers also over here to understand. Okay, so this same thing now I'm going to make you understand in the format what each and everything is means. Okay, what is the meaning of each and everything. So when I talk about version, since we already know that it is a IP version 4, okay, so the version indicates that, okay, version 4. So how would we indicate how many bits are given to that? They've been given 4 bits. Okay, so that means if I express it in the binary value, I know that 4 is represented as and there are 4 bits which are being allotted. So my packet would start with 0 1 000 because this is the meaning or binary value of 4. If my IP packet starts with any other this value, then it will not be accepted by anybody. Okay, as soon as a packet comes to the router, and if it finds that the version is not what it's supposed to be, version 4, and instead of 0100, you see that you have got a packet with 0010, so that means this is not going to be a proper IP packet. So whether a packet should be accepted by the router when it comes or no, so that is first understood with the version number. Okay, so we first see the version. So we have IP version 4, so we have this 0100 in the place of version. Now header length, now as just we saw that the header length would vary from 20 bytes to maximum 60 bytes. Okay, 20 bytes to maximum 60 bytes. Now how will we understand this part? We are only given 4 bits with header length. Okay, and we just saw in that IP header has, or IP header length is minimum 20 bytes to maximum 60 bytes. Okay, this is the length of the IP header. So how would I represent 20 to 60 bytes? How would I know whether my IP header is of 20 bytes or 35 bytes or 40 bytes or 60 bytes? Because I am given only 4 bits. So I know that the minimum with 4 bits, the minimum will start with 000 and maximum will go up to 1111. If I convert this into a decimal value, this stands for 15 and this stands for 0. If you see, if I want to multiply, if I want to understand that it is 60 bytes, that means I need to multiply this with 4. Okay, and if it has to be 20 bytes, so what would be the binary value? Can anybody say? If it has to be 20 bytes, now for 60 bytes, as I said, if all bits are 1, the decimal value would be 15. That means you have to have a multiplying factor of 4 in order to get 60. So for 20 bytes, what should be my binary value? What should be my binary value to have 20 bytes of header length? It should have value 15 if it is 60 bytes. What it should be for, yes, you're saying 111, Shabaz, if you're saying 111, that stands out to be 7 then. See, I need the answer to be 20 bytes. I have to multiply with 4. So what should be that particular number? What should be the number if it is 20 bytes? 1010, 1001, 0101. Right. Now see here, guys who are getting confused. You need 20 bytes and the multiplying factor is 4, which is kept fixed. Now I know that if I multiply the number 4 with 5, then only I'll get 20. And the equivalent binary of 5 is going to be 0101. Okay. So that means if it is 20 bytes, I just see that here it will be just 0101 for 20 bytes. And if it is 60 bytes maximum, then I should see this set has to be all one. So whenever you get the length of the header, okay, you just need to multiply with 4 to understand that how many bytes of header length we are having. Okay, the length of the header length, whatever is the header length you get in this, convert that into a decimal value and then multiply with 4 to understand how many bytes of value is there in that. Okay, now I hope that is clear. So that is giving you the header length. Okay, now the type of service. Now this is basically used for quality of service. If you remember, quality of service means what? Quality of service means I can say that I need a minimum delay or low delay. I need maximum throughput. Okay, throughput means how, in what rate your data is being transferred. And minimum delay, maximum throughput. I can also say that latency or whatever you say, that should be minimum, bandwidth should be high. So these are the parameters through which we decide the quality of service. Also, if you understand, there is something also known as precedence. Precedence will help you set the priority, okay, that which packet has to be forwarded first, or which this is the packet which needs to be sent urgently, this needs to be sent likewise I'm talking about in terms of precedence. So type of service is basically, there are 8 bits allocated for that. If you can see, there are 8 bits, of which I can simply say that first 3 bits are kept for precedence. Okay, that means 0 1 2, and the remaining 3 4 5 6 7, okay, these many bits can be kept for determining the kind of minimum delay, maximum throughput, etc, etc. So all the parameters can be set with the help of these bits, and 0 and 2 with the help of 3 bits we can just decide the precedence. Now this is something which is more in detail at currently. I will not go that much in detail presently, because when we will understand the different services or quality of services, then that time I'll come back to this point of type of service. So as of now, you just can understand that it determines the quality of service based on the precedence and based on what kind of parameters we want: minimum delay, maximum throughput, etc and etc. Okay, so this is related to type of service. Then we have the total length. Okay, now the total length is where you can see that the total length is given as 16 bits in this case. Okay, so that is the total length, which indicates the entire size of the IP packet in header. So the minimum size is 20 bytes and the maximum is 65,535 bytes. So it is basically including the header plus the data. If you see, I have written here, it is the header and the data in bytes. So minimum 20 bytes means I have no data. Okay, I'm not carrying any data, only the header is of 20 bytes. And if more and more data is being there, so total length will have the information of how many bytes of data I have. Once I know how many bytes of header is being there, I can just calculate the data. So with 16 bits, you can see that with 16 bits, we can have maximum 65536 number of bytes, because 2 raised to 16 is 65536. Okay, so that is why it says that maximum number of bytes what it can store or what it can see in this is 65,536. Okay, so that is basically taking the header as well as the data which it is getting from the upper layer. Next is coming, that is the identification. If the IP packet is fragmented, then each fragmented packet will use the same 16-bit identification number to identify which IP packet they belong to. Okay. Now, if you remember that IP is not basically in transport layer, we do fragmentation. Okay. In transport layer, we do fragmentation. So now if I have to identify that this is a packet of the same segment, okay, of the same segment, then I need to keep the identification number same so as to identify that this was a packet of the same data. Okay. So that will help you identify the data properly. Then we have the IP flags. Now these flags will say, if it basically tells you about fragmentation, that if the first bit is set to 0, okay, the first bit is always, so there are 3 bits which is given to the flags from this side. So this, they are going to just say whether the segment data has been fragmented or not fragmented. If the first bit is always set to 0, the second bit is called the don't fragment bit, and it indicates that the packet should not be fragmented. And the third bit is called as a move fragments, and it is set 1 and for all except the last one. Okay. So except for the last packet or the last fragment, this, if it is set, it will be set for all. Okay. So these are the bits which helps you identify whether the fragmentation has happened or not happened. Okay. So this is important to understand whether we have more of fragments coming up or no. So that only the last fragment will not have one if we have set these more fragments. Then the fragment offset, like how many bytes, the position of the fragment in the entire packet, what is the position. So that is given 13-bit, that tells you the fragment offset. Time to leave, now this is very, very important, guys, very important, time to leave. Okay, which we say it as TTL. Now TTL helps to, where how many hops the packet will, just the count of the hops. Okay, we can simply say. Now, when we are trying to ping a particular IP, so in that case, an ICMP packet is being created. Okay, and this ICMP packet, it helps you track the time to leave, like how many maximum the packet should, it should travel across the network. This is like a count which we set. Let's say when it is, as soon as it hits the first router, okay, it hits a 0, and okay, it's like, if I have said that the hop count is maximum, it can go maximum to 16 routers. So I say that now here when it receives, one count will be decremented. Then again, if the packet is received here, then another count will be decreased. Okay, so from 16 it will be 15. So likewise, maximum it can reach up to 16 routers. In case where it doesn't know where the destination is lying, or the packet is being just forwarded, so it will just not remain in the network for a longer duration, because time to leave is taking care of that. We will come across looping. If I don't know you can recall this or no, we talked about looping in our previous session, where I said that in the layer 2 we are using spanning tree protocol. Okay, and spanning tree protocol helps make me the network loop free. Okay. However, in layer 3, we have this thing very important or very interesting. We can say that we have layer 3, we use TTL, which is not used in the layer 2, because we don't have a TTL in this case. So we need some protocol to make the network or to make that particular thing loop free. So in layer 3, we have this TTL field, which basically tells us after a specific point, okay, after a specific count, that particular packet has to be discarded and it can no more be in the network. Okay, so that is the meaning of time to leave. So that every time an IP packet passes through the router, the TTL is decremented, and once it hits 0, the router will drop the packet and send that the ICMP time exceeded message to the sender. And it has been given 8 bits, and it is used to prevent the packets from looping around forever. So by using TTL, you are trying to avoid loops in the layer 3. And in layer 2, you avoid loops by using the spanning tree protocol. So this is something very interesting to understand, that why we do not have a TTL field in the layer 2 header. We have, so we have to use a spanning tree protocol to make it as loop free. However, in layer 3, we have time to leave. So that means we can just avoid the packet to just roam inside the network for a longer time. Okay. Then we have the next field, which is the protocol field. Now, protocol field is basically helping you identify which transport layer protocol we have used. So these are the values I'll show you. So in the transport layer, we have the TCP, UDP protocol. In the network layer, we have ICMP, IGMP, and the various routing protocols also, right? OSPF, RIP, EIGRP, many more. So these protocols are given a number that if I'm using TCP, the protocol field will be set to 6. If I'm using UDP, my protocol number will be set to 17. And similarly, ICMP, IGMP. So looking at the protocol field, I can just identify that which, what protocol is being running or the IP packet is being made up of. Now, in this Wireshark also, we could see here that my time to leave was 42, my protocol was UDP, and its number is given as 17. Okay, so this is how we see here. And next is the next field.
Hello.
Hello.
Is ma'am has problem or okay?